Pleased to be joined this afternoon, joining us live via Zoom here, Congressman Mike Haridopolos, who is a Republican from Florida here, and joining us live now. Congressman, we appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Garrett. Great to see you as well.
So I want to talk about a couple of the big decisions that we heard today from the Supreme Court, but let's start with the birthright citizenship. Your take on the court's opinion today?
Well, it's something where, unfortunately, a lot of people around the world are gaming the system and actually gives incentive for illegal immigration. As you know, there's so many people who want to come to this country legally who paid thousands of dollars, waited years to do it legally. And then you have some people who clearly game the system on the idea because they're born in the United States, going back to, of course, our founding, that they can access the social welfare system and gain citizenship even when people are coming here for nefarious means. We believe, and of course, the idea of America is the land of opportunity. After all, we're the most generous nation in the world as far as allowing for legal immigration, and we feel like this decision by the Supreme Court undercuts those people who are playing by the rules.
I asked Congresswoman Kamik just a couple of minutes ago the same thing here, just to clarify your stance on this. Do you take issue with the Supreme Court and their, how they came to this decision, believing that the 14th Amendment has and does hold this, or do you just believe that this is a policy that now needs to be changed?
Well, I think the founders, of course, had a logical situation when you're looking at, of course, the late 1700s. What you're looking at in the modern context is something radically different. America is not only an established nation, but a nation of laws, and we want to make sure that people are coming here for all the right reasons. And you have some people, again, who literally have what's called the birthright citizenship gaming system here, where they'll come in and get the citizenship, which entitles them to a lot of benefits they, of course, have never earned. And so we're trying to strike that balance. It looks like the decision made by the Supreme Court will require us to actually pass a constitutional amendment, which I would gladly support. But this is something where, again, the court's made the ruling. We're not going to have a violent overthrow. Instead, we're going to play by those rules, understand what the court has said, and try to work accordingly. But it is a blow to the issue that a lot of us are passionate about, and that is legal immigration is the right way to go. Incentivizing illegal immigration will only cause additional problems we've seen over the last few years with not only the budget challenges we'll face, but sadly some of the crime incidents we've seen across the country as well due to illegal immigration.
You talk about a constitutional amendment. That's a high bar to kind of overcome here. Do you think that is something that logistically, feasibly could happen with this?
No, it's like a constitutional amendment, as you know, requires 2/3 vote in both houses of Congress. Given our partisan divide today, and the Democrat stands for allowing illegals to come to the country for so many years, it will be a huge challenge. But this is why the Supreme Court plays that role as referee. They have ruled. I respect their ruling. I don't agree with it, but I respect their ruling, and so we need to look at other ways in which to make sure some people who perpetrate fraud or game the system are stymied. The good news is, as you know, it's one of the promises we made in the 2024 election was we were going to have a secure border. So some of those people who came over in years past illegally and of course use this program called birthright citizenship to gain citizenship will no longer have the likely funnel that they had in the past. And again, this is why we secured the border. We want to make it where people who come here and play by the rules have the opportunity that America affords. And if you want to break the rules, you should be getting additional benefits.
President Trump on Truth Social just a little bit ago calling on Congress, saying they should start today to work on ending birthright citizenship. Are there things, obviously, as we discussed, the Supreme Court kind of today, talking about this being a constitutional issue, and what we have heard from many is that it would likely take a constitutional amendment. But is there anything legislatively that you think Congress could do to address this issue in the meantime?
Well, yes, there is. There's actually, led by Brian Babin, who's the chairman of one of our major committees here, has a proposal to end birthright citizenship by constitutional amendment. I think there are over 200 sponsors there. But as you mentioned, Garrett, we recognize that it takes a 2/3 majority, and without Democrats joining hands with us, it'll be impossible to pass such a measure given the current makeup of Congress. But again, if you ask people across America and say, if a person comes here illegally, should they be allowing a person to gain citizenship? It just doesn't make sense to most people. But again, I respect the decision of the Supreme Court. I'll live by that, and I'll look at other venues in which way we can bring justice to, in my opinion, this issue.
Now, on the transgender athlete decision, the Supreme Court today upholding states' bans on transgender athletes. Your thoughts on that decision from the Supreme Court today?
Well, again, this is a common sense issue. I mean, I have two daughters, and I know how hard they work to get on their different sports teams, and to have a boy compete against them is really challenging, and it takes away some of those opportunities. We see the same thing happening in some NCAA sports or college sports as well. I think boys should compete against boys and girls compete against girls, and if a state wants to affirm that in their law, the Supreme Court, I think, correctly made this decision in this matter. I would give the opportunity of, as you would call it, transgender athletes. They should play against each other, or stay with the birth in which they were, the sex in which they were born with. I think that's a logical thing to do. I think it's pretty obvious right now as you see some of the records broken in track and field, whether you see it in swimming, you've seen on the sports field and things like field hockey, where a lot of girls their records are being destroyed by, in essence, boys who are competing against them, or in the field hockey business, you see that a lot of girls are getting injured by some of these shots that are taken by biological boys. And so again, I think it's just a common sense issue. If these people who are transgender want to play sports, they should play against fellow transgender people. And if they want to continue to play sports, given this recent ruling, they're going to have to pay against those who were born the same way as they were.
Congressman, before I let you go, since we got you here, just a space question for you, because we know the Space Coast right in your district. We're expecting to hear from the NASA administrator in about an hour, talking the latest on moon base and things like that, and then also Blue Origin today just gave an update, kind of publishing their roadmap back, expecting how they're planning to try to get a launch before the end of the year. I want to get your take, just big picture, on the things that are happening right now when it comes to industry, the space industry, and what's happening on our Space Coast here in Florida.
Well, we could not be more excited what's happening in the space industry. It's been a tremendous year, of course, highlighted by the Artemis II successful launch around the moon for the first time since 1972. And as you mentioned, we have an incredibly dynamic leader in Jared Isaacman, the new leader at NASA, who has injected so much energy and enthusiasm and competency to NASA. They have really elevated their game. People are excited to go to work every single day. And you're seeing, of course, the value of the space industry, not just for exploration, not just for the idea of military, but commercial aspect. And as you know, Blue Origin, SpaceX, ULA, and L3 Harris, Northrop Grumman, all these amazing companies in our backyard are creating new jobs and opportunities which were not available just a few years ago. And so we are booming for all the right reasons. And I feel like our best days are still ahead. And you couldn't put a better exclamation point on commercial space than the fact that SpaceX was just valued at $1.75 trillion, and companies like Blue Origin are hiring hundreds of people at a time. Their latest, of course, being 600 employees, making approximately six figures with salary and benefits. And finally, as you said, Blue Origin, they had a challenge, of course, with the static explosion recently, but they are stepping up. They're rebuilding their launch pad at a dramatic pace. And so as the chairman of the Space Committee in Congress, I could not be more pleased with the direction we're going, the jobs we're creating, and we will win that space race back to the moon. And as you put it perfectly, Garrett, we're going to have a moon base in just a few years, and going above and beyond what anyone thought possible just a few years ago.
Exciting times ahead along Florida's Space Coast, that's for sure. Congressman Haridopolos, we appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us today here on Fox 35 News Plus.
Always a pleasure, Garrett. Have a great weekend. Calling us anytime.